Just a couple days ago, I got asked if it's true that cooks will spit in your food if you bring it back. So what I wanted to do today is actually do a list of 10 myths that I hear on a regular basis from people that don't work in kitchens or in food service about cooks. Now, the first myth is that chefs will always cook your food spontaneously and without a recipe. Now, while this is kind of true in the sense that we understand flavor profiles, plating, and different things like that, and we might have a grasp on like art concepts to make the plates look nice, every single thing that we make at some point has been a recipe. We can flavor and season things on the fly and improv as we need to. And if I'm cooking at home, I can throw something together really quick and it'll taste pretty good. But when you go into a restaurant, those are standardized recipes that the restaurant has. And in fact, the best restaurants in the world, Michelin star restaurants, 3-star restaurants, will lose their Michelin stars because of a lack of consistency over any other reason. So consistency is extremely important to make sure that when you go into a restaurant on Monday and when you go into a restaurant Monday 6 months from now, you order the same thing, it will come out the same way. That lack of consistency will push guests away really fast. The next myth is that all chefs can cook any type of cuisine. There are chefs out there that know hundreds of recipes. Gordon Ramsay claims to have 5,000 recipes under his belt. It was either 5,000 or 3,000, but it was in the thousands. And I believe him. Some people have a ton of recipes and a ton of knowledge, and they're able to cook everything from country fried steak in Texas to lamb vindaloo. You don't have to have every single recipe in the entire world memorized. In fact, that's impossible. If you think about it, the most commonly consumed meats are chicken, beef, pork, and fish. Within that category, there's only so many different ways that you can prepare those. So if you have 5 different recipes for each one of those different types of meat, that's already a ton. That can keep you going for a long time. You can run a different thing every night for a month and be okay. But most people don't even do that. Most people, they have a favorite thing they eat. Steak, chili, whatever. And they make those kinds of things all the time. And they might make variations of it. But my point is that you can be good at one thing. Burgers, steak, chicken, pork, beef, and be just fine. Now, I believe that it's definitely in your best interest to learn a wide range of recipes. The more recipes you learn and have under your belt, the more technical knowledge and skill that you will develop as a result of that, just by nature of understanding what constitutes flavors that somebody in India might use versus somebody in Texas or somebody in Canada. Now, the myth that started this entire video. Chefs will spit in your food if you complain and send the food back. Not once have I either spit in someone's food or witnessed anybody spitting in someone's food. Always, if you think about it, you always hear a friend of a friend. Well, Bob told me that he works with this guy named John and he spits in food all the time, blah, blah, blah. Are there restaurants where this happens? Absolutely. There are piece of shit people out there in the world that do horrible, nasty, disgusting things. There was a whole show about people that did shit like pissing in the coffee pots. There was that viral video of that kid that licked all those taco shells, if you remember that. He said they were old tacos, but whatever, it doesn't matter. I mean, it was fucked up, and he posted it, People will do disgusting things. But what I'm here to say is that the amount of people that do that is extremely minuscule, few and far between. If you go to anywhere that is in any way reputable, they're not going to do that. In fact, I'll tell you what happens when you send food back, I feel bad. I feel bad that I didn't make the food the way that you asked me to. Now, there are exceptions to this. When I make a medium steak and you send that bitch back and tell me that it's not medium, you can go fuck yourself, right? But in most cases, if I mess your food up, I feel bad because I don't know if you're out on your anniversary or on your birthday or, you're taking your kids out or you don't get to go out very often, There's so many other reasons why you could be out eating right now, and I made you wait longer for your food, and I don't like that. That's one of the reasons why I strive to be better at my job. A lot of cooks out there feel the same way. They go out of their way to make sure it is right. I feel horrible. I'm making it right. That's the mentality that most good cooks will actually have about it. I'm going to have Remy in my lap for the rest of these. Say hi, Remy. Now, the next myth, this is number 4, is anybody can cook, but you have to actually be born with cooking talent to be a chef. I don't believe this for a second. I believe firmly that anybody is capable of making awesome food. There's no reason that you can't make good food. Do you have a dead palate? Like everything just seems to suck when you make it? You can train away that. I believe that a majority of people on this earth are capable of cooking good food and becoming chefs. Leadership, I don't believe, is a genetic trait. Leadership can be taught. You just need the right person there to teach you. You need the right mentor there. I don't believe that chefs are born with cooking talent. Some people just pick up on things faster than others. Myth number 5 is you have to go to culinary school in order to become a chef. Some of the best chefs out there never went to culinary school. You do not have to go to culinary school. Will you have an advantage going to culinary school? Absolutely. When I went to culinary school, I went for restaurant and hospitality management. I learned about things like dram shop laws, area of controlled origin for wine and cheese pairing, French lingo, how to manage a kitchen. There's a bunch of stuff that I'm even leaving out that I learned going through culinary school. I mean, this is all these books behind me. A good chunk of those are culinary textbooks that I used through going to school. If I hadn't gone to school, I probably could have learned all this stuff, but it could have taken me 2 to 3 times as long. If you find the right person that's willing to teach you all this stuff, you can apprentice under somebody and actually do really well for yourself. Rachel Ray doesn't consider herself a chef, but if you think about it, when she got started, she was doing 30-minute meals. And now look at her empire. Being a cook is one of the places that if you dedicate yourself to learning all of the qualities to run a successful kitchen, you can become an executive chef. The next myth is that all chefs have an attitude problem. Thanks to people like Gordon Ramsay.
This is fresh kale! Smell the fucking thing!
Who has producers that tell him he needs to throw shit and kick shit and yell at cooks and make them feel like shit and verbally abuse them and all that. You know what the most stereotypical chef is, I'm a chef, I had a hard life, I used to be a drug addict, I'm super grizzled and mean, but I have a warm interior once you get to know me. That's not most people. There's a lot of chefs that are laid back. Will cooks have attitudes? Of course they will. Everybody has an attitude once in a while. But do cooks have an attitude simply because they're all cooks? No. And honestly, if you are one of those people that has a fucking attitude all the time and you're a chef, look for a different career. Like, you should be doing something that you enjoy doing, not something that makes you feel like a piece of shit by the end of the day. I love cooking. That's why I've been doing it for so long. This is awesome for me. Not everybody likes it. I love the rush of that. That feeling, the feeling you get when you're on the line, you got a bunch of tickets and you're banging stuff out. Customers are happy. Everybody's flying. We're all working together. That right there is why I cook. So for me to have an attitude about that doesn't really make any sense. And that's true for a lot of people as well. Do all chefs have an attitude? No. All chefs have extremely expensive and extravagant food. This is another thing that was perpetuated by the Food Network and celebrity chefs and whatever. You have truffle this and saffron that. It makes for good TV. One of the things that I had noticed a while back, I'd actually wanted to be on TV, be a chef that's on TV. That's part of how I ended up falling into YouTube. I actually, what I got irritated about is I would watch Bobby Flay and Emeril Lagasse and, these people, and it would take them like 30 ingredients to make food. And I'm like, nobody's following along with you. You know how hard it is to find some of this shit? You know how expensive black truffles are? Like, are you fucking kidding me right now? Make food that people can actually make, or that they can make all the time. Like I've used black truffles before, of course I have, but I don't have a bunch of black fucking truffles sitting in my crisper. It's ridiculous. This myth is perpetuated by television, and it's exacerbated every single time there is a new TV show that comes out there. Every time you see a celebrity chef making something, it's absolutely ridiculous. And most of the time, I'll tell you what happens. Most of the time, because these shows are so fucking fake. I told you about Gordon Ramsay and people telling him he needs to kick trash cans and shit. These producers will tell them what to make. MasterChef is the same way. There's a lot of shit that they make, and they have plenty of time to make it, and they have people training them and showing them and whatever, and they have time to make their food look pretty and all that. And It's the same way. Gordon Ramsay will have recipes that he makes, but producers will come and be like, hey, we think that you need to do this or that. Even Andrew Zimmern, who ate all this nasty food, I mean, he had handlers, and they would tell him that he needed to do this, and sometimes he would have to fight back with that. And I heard he's a really nice dude. I wish I could meet him. If you ever met Andrew Zimmern, let me know. We don't use costly food, and in fact, I came from a pretty poor environment, so I actually like to go back and use canned food and boxed food and stuff like that and see if I can, like, dress it up without spending, like, a whole shitload of extra money. And the reason why is because I think that we need to just have respect for the ingredients that we have available to us and respect the fact that this is food that's available for us to use. I feel like turning your nose up at food, like I've seen some chefs do, like when they have to use canned green beans and they're, oh, God, I have to use canned green beans. I feel like you should be able to use canned food and make it taste decent as a chef. The next myth is never trust a skinny chef. Now, I understand why people would say this. You know, overweight chef likes to eat, so they know what good food is. That's absolutely not true. Now, I'm not talking about anything related to, you know, good or bad body types or body shaming or any of that kind of stuff at all. There's plenty of skinny cooks that are damn good at their job. Thomas Keller isn't fat, and he runs one of the best restaurants in the country. Gordon Ramsay, Bobby Flay. There are plenty of chefs out there that are not obese or morbidly obese that can cook just fine. The next myth is that preparing a dish is the hardest part about being a chef. It is absolutely not the hardest part about being a chef. The hardest part about being a chef is being a chef. You have so much shit to deal with between ordering, scheduling, leading the kitchen, dealing with rush, dealing with running out of things that you didn't know that you were going to be running out of, dealing with replacing ingredients because certain ingredients didn't come in or the wrong ingredients came in, coming up with specials, writing the menu, the long work hours, the pressure of having a rail full of tickets, interpersonal issues between other employees. There are so many other aspects about being a chef that are way more stressful. The food is the easiest part. We know how to cook. It's the other shit that starts fucking with us. That's how we end up making mistakes, is because of all the pressure and all of the other stuff happening. We end up losing our shit at one point, and, you know, we put the wrong sauce on here, or we're trying to rush something there and it gets undercooked, and like that's how mistakes happen, right? It's from other stuff. The next myth is that all chefs' recipes are complicated. Now, this kind of goes to the extravagant thing. It's the same kind of thing. You don't need 25 ingredients. In fact, I believe, now correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe Gordon Ramsay's pea soup has like 3 ingredients. My mashed potatoes is literally Yukon Gold's salt, cream, butter. That's it. Not a bunch of weird, crazy, random shit. And you get these people that they want to make burgers, and so they do, you know, beef. They do like A5 Wagyu beef, which is totally ridiculous. And then they grind up a little bit of lamb and some pork fat, and then they put like French onion soup in it, and thyme and oregano, and salt, pepper, garlic. And like by the time you're making fucking meatloaf at one point, like chill the fuck out. Make your patties, mix it lightly. Maybe add a little bit of pork in for some fat if you want to. You know, if you're going for something specific, okay. People will overcomplicate menus when they think that I'm coming over, and they'll do all this extra stuff to impress me because they're like, oh, you're a chef. It's like, dude, honestly, like, you could have made fucking Hamburger Helper and I would have been fine. We do not need extravagance. We do not need complicated stuff. We just like food in general, and we like to eat. And we like to create things, and we have our menus and all of that, and respect for ingredients. We don't really need to be so complicated with our recipes or in life. Take it easy, you know? If you've heard of any other myths, leave them down below. But otherwise, I'm going to put up 2 other videos. Please subscribe to the channel, like the video if you thought it was informative, even a little bit. But otherwise, you guys have an awesome day, and I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.